Still, good morning, Anambra, and today we are looking at a very important topic that affects each and every one of us as a nation, which is we are looking at the topic that says the impact of corruption on governance. And in the studio this morning, I have a community leader, and he is many things. He's a man of many parts, actually. Chike Mwebe in the studio this morning. Good to have you, sir. Also, I have Nonso Ekesiobi. Nonso Ekesiobi is a lecturer, Department of Economics, Chukwuemeka Odumego Ojukwu University, Igbariam. You're welcome to the studio.
Good morning.
All right, we all know when it comes to corruption that there's report or statistics around the net, in the course of looking at the topic. Nigeria is the 154 list corrupt nation out of 180 countries, according to the 2021 Corruption Perceptions Index reported by Transparency International. And on the program, we'll try to look at corruption, how far it has eaten into our society today, where we misstate on what is happening generally in the society today. Now, Mr. Mwebe, let me begin with you. What actually is corruption?
I'm just thinking how best to distill that question and then crystallize the answer. But permit me if I just start this way. Corruption is an end, and we are there. And that end is total perversion of values. Whenever you have a total perversion of values, you have impunity, greediness, and all the other cankerworms that follow it. Then you know that the word corruption becomes an envelope for all these social ills. And it is a very serious matter. Because when you talk about corruption, I heard you mentioning corruption index and all these other parametric factors that they have used English to encapsulate, embellish, and put in a way where it looks very esoteric. That's corruption is exactly the issue we now have. Corruption breeds everything, including insecurity. It is actually lack of good order, lack of respect for anything that is human. So it is, when I say perversion of values, you will not ask me, what is these values? And I like us to know that societies that are organizations that have strength are driven by three major factors.
Which are?
Values, processes, and resources. So values is at the apex. Wherever you lose focus on values. And let me simplify these values. Values, what I value, what you value, what he values. If what you value in life is in consonance or agrees with my own and his own, three of us are already defined by what we call culture, because it's driven by culture, cultural values. That's why Christians have scriptural what? Values. And wherever you have an intersection of cultural values with Christian values, those societies are always progressing and developing. In our own case, we had cultural values of thou shalt not murder, brotherhood, kindred spirit, honesty, and so on. Which hard work, industry, which matches with what? Scriptural values. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do this, and you truth, everything. And now we talk about corruption, which means that if those things worked in the past, it's no more working out because there have been total perversion.
All right, we're still coming to that. Now, how would you describe the situation of our country, Nigeria, in terms of corruption?
Like he said, defining corruption is a very difficult process because corruption can mean different things to different people. So because of this multi-dimensional quagmire, as it were, conceptualized corruption. In the Nigerian case, when we discuss corruption, we always look at corruption, especially at the governance level. How proceeds government activity, how it is being channeled, how it is being utilized, and so on and so forth. But you know, we have seen that, like he has mentioned now, we have seen that these are just manifestations of the real problem, which is the erosion of values, as he pointed out. So, you know, a corrupt society is one that is never objective. So you see, you know, people, institutions, you know, looking the other way, you know, submerging, you know, objective ideas, and you know, look for, you know, let's say, you know, trying to toe the path of mediocrity. So when we talk of corruption in Nigeria, we're always pointing towards stealing. Which is still part of the corruption. But that is where we lose, you know, the point. Where we lose the plot in this corruption argument is that when we assume that everything corruption has to do with the government, then we are only addressing the problem halfway. Because it is the people, it is the society that bring up these individuals that represent those tomorrow as government. So is there a guarantee, for instance, if the current government in power, when they leave office, the next set of people who will be coming will be, you know, different from those, you know, their predecessors. So that brings us to the point of where, you know, society has to come in, the place of values, the place of morals, how we idolize.
You know, how would you assess it?
Assess it?
Yeah, assessing it in Nigeria.
Well, like I said, if I want to assess corruption from the governance aspect, we see that it is something that has become sort of the norm. Yeah, because, in fact, I want to say that corruption in Nigeria at the governance level has been institutionalized. So it doesn't matter which political party, which gender, which tribe, or which religion. One, you know, common denominating factor is the corruption issue. So at that level, we should begin to ask ourselves how we are, you know, persons devoid of all these primordial sentiments and the rest of them, and begin to ask pertinent questions as to why things are the way they are. So if we do not ask those questions, we'll continue to live in denial, such that when an individual, for instance, is alleged to be corrupt, I think the word is alleged to be corrupt, you now see people from that person's ethnic background or religion or so say, you know, begin to cry foul that this is a witch hunt. That why is it the person? Why is it only this person? Other persons? What have been done to them? So I won't want to preempt you because I know that's where we are getting to.
Okay. Now, I want us to really calm down a bit with what we are seeing on a daily basis. You know, there is what we say that before you give somebody an office to manage, you know, the person, let's say accountant general, for instance, the person should be accountable. Now, the issue that came up a few days ago is that the accountant general of the Federation is being accused of 80 billion naira fraud. Now, when we hear such things, you know, what does it make of us as a people? Yeah.
Well, it's very ironic that on the one hand, the government is always crying foul, that there are no resources, there are no funds.
You know, somebody was saying that this Igbo adage, or something like that.
So it's very ironic when we come out and we say there's paucity of funds, we are having a revenue challenge, which is true. But on the other hand, what are you doing with the little that is at your disposal? You are telling people to make sacrifices by the day. A lot of things are eating deep into the pockets of the average Nigerian. Look at what is happening to inflation. Look at what is happening to unemployment. And the resultant effect is, social vices. You'll be hearing crazy things where people will be mating with animals just to make money. People will be doing one sort of diabolic or ritual things, or going into, armed robbery, killing, all sorts of criminality, especially the one we're experiencing today in the name of maybe fighting for a cause or something, and, you masquerade. It's still the symptom of this corruption we are talking about. That we have insecurity today is because the terrorism fight over there in the north has been commercialized. If terrorism ends today, some people will become penniless. There are some people that are feeding deep from the continuous process, the continuous efforts that are going to fight terrorism, that are ongoing in the fight against terrorism in the north. So they won't want that fight to end. It's still part of the corruption. So in the case of the Accountant General, it's very pathetic that somebody who is in charge of the National Treasury, that's what the Accountant General is. He's in charge of the National Treasury. He's been alluded, alleged to, because of 80 billion naira. And the problem is there have been ongoing efforts to invite the same Accountant General by the EFCC, but he has kept on evading those invitations, dodging them. And this is not the first time we are having cases of allegation pointing towards not just the Accountant General, but the Office of the Accountant General. Take, for instance, the issue of repatriated funds, James Ibori from the UK, and under oath came to the National Assembly and said that the money has been given back to about 4.2 billion pounds has been given back to the Delta State government because it is Delta State money. He said this thing under oath. Then when, after some time, when this presidential media aide, Loretta Onochie, came out and said no money has been returned to the Delta State government, he came back and said no, it is supposed to be returned. And meanwhile, he has already said that ab initio, that the money has been returned to the Delta State government. The same Accountant General is somebody that had an issue with, what's this lady's name, something, this director for the Nigerian Bulk Electricity PLC, MBET, over 102 billion. And they are trying to ask, what have the Accountant General, Office of the Accountant General done to, carry out the normal oversight on these ministries, departments, and agencies of government? I'm using MBET as an example. And that one was alleged, it was alleged that over 102 billion was missing in that case. Even when the Auditor General of the Federation, raised issues against the Accountant General, the Office of the Accountant General, and so on and so forth, but nothing really has been done. Rather, you hear cases of him, by investing in real estate all over the world. In fact, beginning from Nigeria, in choice places in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Kano, then you go to Dubai and all these things, all of them pointing to him. Not even trying to, cover up the fact that he owns, a commodity exchange firm, a very big one for that matter. So, and again, what does he go out to do? He goes out to, get married to a 16-year-old girl.
And there are offices that are supposed to be checking those things. That will come to that. But let me bring in Chike. Chike, when you were describing corruption, I was looking at, it has really eaten deep. Even our children these days know what is corruption, and that shows that it's deep somehow, and it didn't just start today. So what would you say are causes of corruption? What brings about corruption in the first place?
Yeah, well, I'm just happy that my colleague here has tried to put some concrete references in trying to punctuate what corruption really means and how it is become like a national norm. I was trying to give the foundation, and the issue is that for some of us who were born after the Second World War, and lived through the Nigeria before independence. You know, if many of the people in that generation somehow miraculously wake up now and see what is going on now, you will just see that these are two different worlds. So really, wherever you have a leadership failure breeds corruption. You know, I use the word processes. Processes means patterns of communication or relationships that enable something that is raw to be processed into something that is of value. Not just products, but also leadership. If the processes by which we select our leaders, who are supposed to be influencers in the society, become flawed, the result is what we are seeing now. If you notice, since before, after the the military coup that suddenly shot people into power, that has been one of the major causes, the way we have selected the people that are leading us, because these people didn't come here selling any set of values. They just came to take over power and begin to share. People were no more working for what was being shared, but people appropriated our commonwealth and decided to distribute it the way they are. So the solution lies, we going back again to the foundation, the family. Unfortunately, I cannot see a way out now, because even the children, I don't know about the doctor, but if he comes home and he's not getting and presenting to the family what his colleagues in other places are presenting, using their position, the society will consider him a failure. Even in the church, nobody will reckon with him. So you can see that the society way of lifestyle, that society has become totally, what do they call, poisoned. We no more value the things that are of value to human beings, but we now value material things. We will start it, but I'm just happy for Anambra State for the kind of leadership we have now, because at least can begin to see some purpose, taking issues as they come and using honest and truthful means to address it. If we go back to the family, how do we bring up our children? Are we going to restore our values back? There was a time when in my we held a summit here, saying capturing our old age-long values. That's we the Igbos. We thought that government came for that but we thought that the recommendation we do that we will start from the school curricula at the crèche, nursery, primary, to begin to teach, have these subjects, civics, and then go back to the churches. Because when these things are not attacked from the foundation, it becomes difficult to really remedy. I don't see remedy in our generation anymore.
All right. We will still get to that to see if anything could be done to ameliorate what we are seeing today. If not, I don't know, everybody is at the brink of I don't know how to put it actually.
There's trust. Trust has been lost everywhere. Okay. People don't trust government. Government don't trust the people.
So when there's a mutual distrust.
So there's mutual distrust.
We find ourselves.
So we now have two types of economies operating: the criminal economy and the so-called modern economy, and none of them is working well.
All right, the program is still Good Morning Anambra, looking at the impact of corruption on governance. We are going to take a short break now to feel the pulse of the masses. When we come back, we'll begin to look at the impact proper of corruption on governance, and of course, if there could be a way out. Remember, the program is audience participatory. You can call us with the number on the screen to give us any solution if you have any. All right, we'll take a break down. We'll return after this. Please join us again.
Great news for Anambra Broadcasting Service ABS audience. You can now watch ABS television through any of these ways.
Buy a terrestrial antenna and connect to your television. Search ABS Channel 24 Oka or ABS Channel 27 Onitsha. Install StarTimes cable decoder and search ABS Channel 113. Install Metro Digital cable decoder and search ABS Channel 29.
Watch ABS TV on your smart TV or smartphone by downloading Anambra Broadcasting Service app on Google Play Store. Also watch via ABS Facebook page at ABS Radio Television and ABS YouTube page at ABS Television Oka.
ABS TV is now also on satellite. You can watch us from anywhere in Nigeria and other African countries. Simply install our TV decoder brand and tune to channel 315 or install any free-to-air satellite decoder and search for ABS TV.
Whichever option you choose, stay abreast of breaking news, documentaries, children's shows, talk shows, comedy, sports, movies, and lots more on your darling TV station.
For adverts and program sponsorship, contact 0803-388-8526 or 0806-883-9902. ABS, Heartbeat of the East.
Alright, ndi Igbo again tikuna hona n'ebe anyị nọ kpọmkwem na Anambra State ka m nọ. Anọkwa with Anambra Broadcasting Service. Oh, how we ban. If you are not listening to them, if you are not watching them, that means you are blind. Open your eyes and see good things, and good things will come to you. Hey, babe, I wanna know.
All right, we'll still get the talks for you or the views of the masses when it's ready. Apologies for that. I still have Chike Nwebe and Nonso Ekesiobi in the studio looking at the impact of corruption on governance. Now, our lecturer, please, let's begin with looking at the impact generally before we move to the impact of corruption on governance. What have you seen? What are the effects of this corruption? You are a lecturer in one of our universities around here. Can you tell us practically what you see are the impacts of corruption?
If one is to write a thesis on the impact of corruption, I think it will be bigger than a PhD thesis. Well, let me start from my own constituency, where the education sector. We're having a crisis going on our hands, such that we are the receiving end of this corruption issue. Why? Because you start from the primary, for instance. You have a situation where I have a colleague who told me that they had to pull the child out of a primary school in this Anambra state. It's not anywhere in this Anambra. Why? Because the class teacher offered, made advances that if you want your child to come first, that they look at the amount of money you bring at primary school level, where you should be teaching the child just the basics, then other societal values like he has said. But you are interested in Kanwageba first. You want your child to come out first at that age.
And the teacher is interested in making money.
Yeah. So you want the child to come out first. Then one thing will lead to the other. The child will get a score that does not reflect his or her true capability, knowledge as a student, and you transit to the secondary level. It's no surprise now that many students, aided by their parents now, I'm not telling you fiction, aided by their parents now, get access to special centers that are now thriving. to sit for WAEC and clear their papers. WAEC that used to be, at least not too far back, ago, people used to, take pride in how they sat for the exam, this, and so on and so forth. But now, you have majority of the students parading results that they did not sit for. And why I said aided by the parents, because I still want to draw a reference to what he said about, going back to the family. I can't imagine, I can't imagine my dad tell you, go, as in, let me, the only thing my dad told me was that, as the fourth child in the house, that look, in this family, I had senior siblings who, you see them reading now. So when it gets to your turn, you just have to take this, sit for this exam once. And you just have to sit for the exam and pass. And, secondary schools then, I don't know the fate of secondary schools now. But then, when you find yourself in an examination, it's just between you and your God. No external influence, no anything whatsoever. But that child takes up will I say, that it takes up that situation as the norm and finds himself in a university. Now, what do you expect, the university system, the lecturers to make up, of this situation? I'm not saying that we are saying so. That you have bad lecturers, for instance, is still part of this problem we are talking about, where somebody will gain access to university where he or she, does not merit, and read courses because, he scored high in the JAMB or so on and so forth. But now, because of one phone call, one button you're able to press, you see yourself admitted in university, where those who are supposed to be admitted are left outside. And when you come into the university, the same problem. I don't need to start recounting, experiences where parents will come and meet you and tell you, this is my child, in fact, one that was a director in one of the ministries in this state, I think that's the one that comes to mind immediately. We meet me then and he was speaking good English. The English, those who schooled in the 60s and 70s, the English they speak is not the kind of English we speak nowadays. Those ones they speak, like people that read all this literature and the rest of it. So when he was speaking, I told him, sir, please, that you are speaking like somebody who is very educated. And normally I expect this kind of things from, a family na agora aupo. Parents that are not educated and the rest of them. So he told me, no. I said, yes, I attended Uniben. I said, wow, Uniben. And you're up to a point where you are a director in a ministry in this state. Said, wow, congratulations. But he said, things are now different. That these children trying to secure a better life for them. That he doesn't want him to graduate with a result that will be useless. And this is for an exam that has not been sat for. The exam. This one, you are trying to influence an exam before it's even written. And I told the man that is not so. And you have these kind of situations where that person, if he's fortunate to meet a lecturer that will, dance, the aid what he or she is requesting, becomes a graduate, tomorrow still passes through the same system,
all right,
gets a master's degree, and now says he wants to teach. And
what will he have to offer?
Oh, thank you.
Now, we know that there are people that were made promoted to deputy commissioners of police recently in our country, Nigeria, of which one, Magu, was part of it. And we know the story of what has happened. Could this be some of the impact of corruption on governance in this nation?
You asked the question and provided the answer. When you say perversion of values, when we talk about values, there are concrete factors that you can always use to appraise societies. Once the society is corrupted, like we are now experiencing, merit is thrown overboard. Remember I talked about processes. Those things, that's where they fit in. The process. If you want to choose your leadership, you choose based on what? Merit. If you want to make promotion, you make promotion based on what? Merit. There are other issues, performance. He talked about capacity, that is qualification, that is whether you were prepared for it. But all those add up to, portray what merit is all about. So really, let me just say that from the background, I think I've said it, maybe I'm repeating myself again. Wherever you have sacrificed hard work, honesty, truth, merit, what you get is impunity. And wherever impunity reigns, it broadcasts what? Misery.
Now, do we have hope? Do we have hope?
Of course, there is hope. I talked about leadership.
Yeah.
There is hope.
What should be done quickly before,
yes.
before we
once
wrap up?
the leadership has the right set of values that influences good behavior and punishes bad behavior, and put down institutions that will regulate you and I from acting deviantly, you're already setting a new pathway for a humane society. It is inhumanity in men that makes people that work for government to appropriate commonwealth for their own private purposes. If you have ever done anything in the ministry anywhere, I don't want to single out a particular state, any ministry anywhere, as a consultant, that's my experience. And you want to go to get compensated for the work you have done honestly, you'll be so embarrassed. But if you are on the same platform with them, you flow with them. So it's terrible. It's terrible. If you put in hundreds, if you vote 100 million to come and check ecological disaster in my community, corruption will make it that by the time work is starting there, 10 million may not be available for the work.
All right, we could go on and on, but that's the much time could allow us to take on this program, The Impact of Corruption on Governance, on Good Morning Anambra today. And from all we've said here, it's really sad what we are passing through. But like you said, there is hope. Let's hope that hope comes up someday. Would like to thank you so much, Ikenwebe, a community leader, for being a part of this show this morning. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much, Nonso Ekesubi, for your meaningful contributions this morning. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
All right, this is where we wrap up. Good morning, Anambra Show for today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Tomorrow is another day. Bye for now.